Have you ever felt that a close relationship in your life lacked the joy or meaning you once believed it had? Perhaps you've wholeheartedly trusted someone, invested your time and energy, only to realize they don't truly value you. Worse yet, you might just be a tool, a means to an end, in their eyes. In a world filled with connections and interactions, identifying when someone is taking advantage of your kindness can be a significant challenge. However, this doesn't mean we are powerless. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on maintaining tranquility and mastering the mind, offers valuable guidance for navigating unhealthy relationships. Today, we will explore the signs that reveal when someone doesn't genuinely care about you. Rather than simply criticizing, this discussion will provide deep insights and practical lessons to help you maintain self-respect and inner strength. After all, your peace of mind is always worth protecting. Let's embark on this journey with clarity and courage to face the truth, for it is the first step toward building a balanced and happier life. 1. Broken promises, a path to inner resilience. Promises are the threads that bind trust in our relationships. They signal commitment, respect, and reliability. Yet, when a promise is broken, it feels like a betrayal of that trust, a fracture in the foundation of what we believe was secure. Imagine entrusting someone with your hopes or needs, only to see their assurances fade like whispers in the wind. The disappointment that follows can weigh heavy, casting shadows over your peace of mind. This is a scenario we all face at some point in life. A friend who doesn't follow through, a colleague who fails to deliver, or a loved one whose actions don't align with their words. The sting of such moments often lingers, tempting us to give in to frustration, resentment, or despair. But what if we viewed these moments through the lens of Stoicism? What if instead of focusing on the broken promise, we focused on our response to it? To understand this, let's turn to a story from ancient Rome. A Stoic philosopher lent money to a friend, trusting that it would be repaid as promised. When the repayment didn't come and the friend vanished, the philosopher faced a crossroads: anger or acceptance. Instead of succumbing to bitterness, he paused and reflected on a simple yet profound question central to Stoic philosophy. What is within my control? He recognized that while he couldn't change his friend's behavior, he could control his reaction. This lesson holds a mirror to our own lives. Consider a moment when you were let down by someone's unfulfilled promise. Did the frustration fester, stealing your joy? Or did you manage to step back, release what you couldn't control, and find peace in moving forward? The Stoic approach encourages us to do the latter, not as an act of indifference, but as an act of empowerment. Broken promises test more than our patience. They test our inner resilience. They force us to confront the reality that much of life lies beyond our control, no matter how deeply we wish otherwise. Stoicism reminds us that clinging to expectations of others often leads to unnecessary suffering. Instead, we can choose to focus on what is ours to govern: our thoughts, actions, and emotions. Imagine a scenario in today's world. You're working on a crucial project, and a colleague assures you they'll handle an important task. When the deadline comes, they haven't delivered, leaving you scrambling to cover their part. Your first instinct might be frustration. Why didn't they follow through? But what good does this anger serve? The situation has already unfolded. By channeling energy into solving the problem instead of dwelling on the disappointment, you not only preserve your peace, but also demonstrate resilience. Resilience, however, doesn't mean ignoring the hurt. It means acknowledging it and choosing to rise above it. Broken promises may teach us whom to trust more cautiously in the future, but they also teach us the strength of self-reliance. When someone fails us, they reveal more about themselves than they take away from us. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple yet profound truth serves as a guiding light in moments of betrayal. The unkept promises of others need not define our reactions or our peace. They are fleeting shadows on the stage of life, while our inner strength can remain constant, shining steadily amidst the chaos. The next time someone breaks a promise, pause. Ask yourself, will my anger or resentment change the outcome? Or can I let this moment be an opportunity to practice patience, forgiveness, and self-control? By releasing what you cannot change, you free yourself from the burden of disappointment. Imagine viewing broken promises as milestones in your growth, not as obstacles to your happiness. They can become stepping stones that strengthen your ability to endure, adapt, and thrive. And in letting go of others' failures, you make room for your own growth, room to cultivate the relationships, goals, and actions that truly matter. In the grand theatre of life, promises may be broken, but your response is always within your hands. Let every disappointment be a reminder of the profound wisdom within you, waiting to shine brighter than any fleeting shadow. By embodying Stoic principles, you not only preserve your tranquility, but also inspire those around you to do the same. Reflection. Broken promises don't just reveal the character of others, they reveal your capacity to rise above. Choose to respond with clarity, patience, and strength. The power is, and always has been, within you. 2. Disregard for your needs. Have you ever poured your heart and energy into someone only to feel invisible in return? Picture this. You go out of your way to help a friend, support a partner, or care for a family member, yet your needs and emotions are met with indifference or neglect. It's a painful realization, like reaching out with open arms, only to find emptiness where connection should be. This disregard for your needs often feels like an assault on your worth. It challenges the fundamental human desire for reciprocity, a sense that our efforts and emotions matter. Yet, Stoic philosophy offers us a way to view this painful experience through a lens of empowerment. It reminds us that our dignity is not contingent on the validation of others, but on the value we place upon ourselves. Imagine a young man in ancient Greece who tirelessly helps a friend through a difficult time. Despite his genuine care, the friend takes his kindness for granted, ignoring his needs and efforts. The young man feels torn between the instinct to continue giving and the growing pain of being undervalued. This scenario, though set in the past, mirrors the struggles many of us face today. In such moments, the teachings of Stoicism provide clarity. As Epictetus wisely taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When others disregard your needs, you face a choice. Will you allow their indifference to define your worth, or will you reaffirm your self-respect and independence? Consider a modern parallel. A colleague at work who constantly seeks your help, but offers little in return. Each time you lend a hand, they expect more, ignoring your boundaries or the challenges you face. It's easy to feel resentment or frustration building over time. But Stoicism urges us to approach such situations with thoughtful detachment. Instead of reacting emotionally, we can evaluate the relationship with calm clarity. Is this dynamic healthy? Is it aligned with mutual respect and care? It's not selfish to expect consideration for your needs. It's a matter of balance. Just as we strive to give with sincerity, we must also protect our emotional energy and ensure our relationships are built on mutual respect. Recognizing when someone takes your efforts for granted isn't an act of bitterness. It's an act of self-preservation. Stoicism reminds us that external circumstances, such as how others treat us, are beyond our control. However, our inner world, our self-worth, and our reactions are entirely within our grasp. When faced with neglect or indifference, the Stoic approach is to turn inward and ask, what can I do to uphold my peace and dignity? Let's take this a step further. Imagine a future scenario where someone overlooks your needs again. Instead of immediately feeling hurt or undervalued, you pause. You reflect on whether this relationship is truly aligned with your values and whether it nurtures your growth. If it doesn't, you choose to either communicate your feelings openly or step back with grace. This isn't about building walls around your heart, but about recognizing that not every relationship deserves unlimited access to your emotional resources. By setting boundaries, you create space for connections that are reciprocal, fulfilling, and rooted in respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When someone disregards your needs, it's an opportunity to choose thoughts that affirm your worth rather than diminish it. You remind yourself that their actions are a reflection of their character, not a judgment of your value. If you find yourself in a one-sided dynamic, try this exercise. Write down what you contribute to the relationship and what you receive in return. Reflect on whether the balance feels fair or sustainable. If it doesn't, consider how you can either address the imbalance or redefine the relationship to protect your peace. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual care and respect. When that balance is missing, Stoicism encourages us to act with wisdom, not out of anger, but from a place of self-love. Walking away from an unbalanced relationship isn't a loss, it's a reclamation of your time, energy, and dignity. Disregard for your needs isn't just a challenge, it's a wake-up call to prioritize your self-respect. Choose to value yourself enough to set boundaries. In doing so, you create room for relationships that uplift and nourish you, embodying the wisdom of Stoicism with every step forward. 3. Emotional manipulation. Have you ever felt like a puppet on strings, with someone skillfully pulling at your emotions to make you act a certain way? Emotional manipulation is a subtle yet deeply unsettling behavior, often cloaked in words like, "If you really cared about me, you would say," or, "After all I've done for you, how could you say no?" These statements are crafted to evoke guilt, fear, or obligation, leaving you questioning your instincts and doubting your decisions. When caught in the web of manipulation, it's easy to feel trapped, unsure of how to assert your boundaries without escalating the conflict. Yet, Stoicism offers a way to cut through these emotional chains, encouraging us to focus on our inner strength and autonomy. Picture this. A friend consistently leans on you for support, but does so by making you feel guilty if you hesitate. They remind you of past favors or play the victim, pressuring you into doing what they want. At first, you might comply out of compassion or a desire to avoid conflict, but over time, you begin to notice a pattern. Your feelings are being overshadowed, and your choices are dictated by their emotional tactics. This is where Stoicism becomes a guiding light. Epictetus taught, "No one can harm you unless you allow it." This principle reminds us that our emotions and actions remain under our control, no matter how much someone else tries to manipulate them. The first step to reclaiming your power is awareness. Recognize the signs of manipulation, guilt tripping, exaggerated claims of sacrifice, or playing on your fears. Once you've identified these tactics, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this request genuine, or am I being coerced? Am I acting out of my own values, or because I feel cornered? In these moments, detachment becomes your shield. By stepping back emotionally, you create the space needed to evaluate the situation with clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully, guided by your principles rather than their pressure. Consider a personal example. A family member might insist, "If you don't do this for me, it shows you don't care about the family." This statement is designed to provoke guilt, overriding your judgment with a sense of obligation. A Stoic approach would involve calmly acknowledging their perspective while asserting your boundaries. For instance, you might say, "I understand this is important to you, but I need to make a decision that aligns with my own responsibilities." Boundaries are essential in protecting your emotional well-being. They aren't walls that shut people out, but gates that ensure only respectful, reciprocal relationships enter your life. When you set boundaries with manipulators, you send a clear message. Your choices and peace of mind are not up for negotiation. It's important to recognize that emotional manipulation often stems from the manipulator's insecurities or unmet needs. This understanding doesn't excuse their behavior, but helps you approach the situation with empathy rather than anger. By responding with calm confidence, you not only protect yourself, but also model healthier ways of communication. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When faced with manipulation, choosing self-respect over submission helps maintain the integrity of your inner world. Let their attempts to sway you roll off, like water off a well-oiled shield, leaving your peace untouched. When confronted with manipulation, practice these steps. 1. Pause and reflect. Resist the urge to react immediately. Take a moment to assess whether the request aligns with your values or is driven by guilt and pressure. 2. Clarify your intentions. Before responding, ask yourself, am I saying yes because I want to, or because I feel forced? 3. Set boundaries. Politely but firmly state your position. Use I statements to express your needs, such as, "I'm unable to help this time," but I hope you can find another solution. Detach emotionally. Understand that their reaction is a reflection of their own struggles, not a measure of your worth or kindness. Emotional manipulation thrives when we relinquish our autonomy. By recognizing these tactics and responding with stoic resilience, we reclaim control over our emotions and choices. Remember, your worth isn't tied to someone else's approval or demands. It resides within your ability to live authentically and with integrity. Choose freedom over guilt, boundaries over pressure, and self-respect over submission. In doing so, you not only protect your peace but also embody the strength and wisdom that Stoicism champions. 4. Lack of reciprocity, restoring balance in relationships. Relationships thrive on balance. When we give our time, effort, and care, we naturally hope for some form of mutual exchange. Yet, what happens when the scales tip too far? Imagine a dynamic where you're always the one initiating conversations, making plans, or offering support, while the other person consistently takes without reciprocating. This imbalance can leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and questioning the foundation of the relationship. The lack of reciprocity isn't just a minor flaw, it's a warning sign of a one-sided connection. Such dynamics, if left unchecked, can erode your self-esteem and rob you of the energy needed to nurture healthier relationships. However, Stoicism provides a perspective that shifts our focus from frustration to empowerment. Consider this scenario. You have a friend who frequently asks for help, be it advice, favors, or your time. Yet, when you need a listening ear or a helping hand, they're mysteriously unavailable. At first, you might dismiss this as circumstantial, but as the pattern repeats, you realize their lack of effort isn't accidental. It's a reflection of the dynamic they're willing to maintain. The Stoic approach teaches us to view such situations with objectivity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When faced with one-sided relationships, instead of dwelling on feelings of resentment or self-pity, Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control, our actions and choices. First, reflect on your role in the imbalance. Are you giving beyond your capacity because you fear conflict or rejection? Are you overcompensating, hoping that your efforts will eventually be matched? Recognizing these patterns within yourself is the first step to reclaiming balance. Next, consider how to address the dynamic with calm honesty. If the relationship holds value to you, open a dialogue. For example, you might say, "I've noticed that I'm often the one reaching out or offering help. It would mean a lot if this relationship felt more mutual." This isn't about demanding equality, but expressing your needs with respect and clarity. But what if the other person doesn't respond positively? Here, Stoicism reminds us that not every relationship deserves our continued investment. Epictetus wisely advised, "Detach yourself from what is not yours to control." If your efforts are met with indifference or excuses, it's a sign to step back, not as an act of bitterness, but as an affirmation of your self-worth. Think of relationships as a garden. A healthy connection is like a plant that flourishes with care from both sides. However, when one person becomes the sole gardener, the plant may survive, but it will never truly thrive. By redirecting your energy toward relationships that nurture you in return, you create space for growth, joy, and mutual respect. 1. 2. Take inventory. Reflect on your relationships. Which ones feel balanced and fulfilling? Which leave you feeling drained or undervalued? 3. Set clear boundaries. If someone repeatedly takes without giving, decide how much energy you're willing to invest moving forward. 4. Communicate openly. Share your feelings in a non-confrontational way. For instance, "I really value our friendship, but I'd love for us to support each other more equally." 5. Re-evaluate. When necessary. If the imbalance persists despite your efforts, consider whether the relationship aligns with your values and well-being. Lack of reciprocity isn't just about fairness, it's about preserving your emotional health and respecting your worth. Stoicism teaches us that we are responsible for our own happiness, not for forcing others to meet our expectations. By recognizing imbalanced relationships and choosing to invest in those that truly nourish us, we not only protect our peace but also create a life enriched by meaningful, mutual connections. Remember, stepping back from one-sided dynamics isn't selfish. It's an act of self-love. In doing so, you honor the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. 5. Constant criticism, protecting your inner confidence. Constructive feedback is a gift, but relentless, unwarranted criticism can feel like an unending storm that erodes your confidence and peace of mind. Imagine a relationship where no matter what you do, someone always finds fault. Your efforts are dismissed, your intentions are questioned, and your smallest flaws are magnified. Such constant negativity doesn't just hurt in the moment, it slowly chips away at your self-worth. Criticism, when unbalanced or unfair, often reveals more about the critic than the criticized. Stoicism, with its focus on self-mastery and detachment, offers us a way to navigate these situations without letting them undermine our inner strength. Picture this. You work tirelessly on a project, pouring in your time and effort, only to have a colleague nitpick minor details and overlook your accomplishments. Their words linger, planting seeds of self-doubt. It's natural to feel frustrated or even defeated in such moments. But Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control the opinions of others, we have full authority over how much power we give those opinions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you're pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." This insight reminds us that criticism only takes root when we allow it to. When faced with constant negativity, we must pause and ask ourselves, is this feedback useful, or is it a reflection of the critic's own insecurities? Let's consider a real-world example. A friend or family member consistently comments on your choices, your career, appearance, or lifestyle, framing their criticism as concern or advice. Over time, their words may start to feel like veiled judgments rather than genuine support. In such cases, the Stoic response is twofold. First, to evaluate the validity of their words, and second, to maintain your self-confidence regardless of their opinions. 1. Evaluate the message. Is there a kernel of truth in their critique that can help you grow? If yes, accept it with humility and gratitude. If not, let it pass, much like a traveler ignoring a barking dog on their journey. 2. Detach from the critic's intentions. Their motivations, whether rooted in envy, misunderstanding, or their own struggles, are beyond your control. What matters is how you choose to perceive and respond to their words. Epictetus wisely advised, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When confronted with constant criticism, practice this principle by cultivating an inner filter. Accept only what serves your growth and discard the rest as noise. Persistent criticism, if left unchecked, can disrupt even the healthiest of relationships. It's important to communicate your boundaries with clarity and assertiveness. For example, you might say, "I appreciate your perspective, but I'd like to focus on constructive feedback that helps me grow, rather than on constant critiques." This approach shifts the dynamic from defensiveness to mutual understanding. However, not all critics are willing to adjust their behavior. In such cases, consider whether maintaining the relationship as it stands aligns with your well-being. Stepping back from overly critical individuals isn't an act of weakness. It's a declaration of self-respect. A practical guide to navigating criticism. 1. Pause before reacting. When criticized, take a deep breath and resist the urge to respond emotionally. This pause allows you to assess the critique objectively. 2. Separate the useful from the unhelpful. Ask yourself, does this feedback help me improve, or is it simply an opinion I can disregard? 3. Respond with calm assertiveness. If the criticism crosses boundaries, address it respectfully but firmly. 4. Strengthen your inner confidence. Remind yourself that your worth isn't determined by external judgments. Focus on your values, goals, and the progress you've made. Constant criticism can feel like a persistent storm, but Stoicism teaches us to be the calm within it. By evaluating critiques with discernment, setting boundaries, and nurturing our inner confidence, we protect ourselves from unnecessary negativity. Remember, the opinions of others are fleeting. Your sense of self is enduring. Choose to anchor your confidence in your own values and growth. When faced with relentless criticism, let it be an opportunity to practice resilience and clarity, ensuring that your peace of mind remains unshaken amidst the noise. 6. Exploiting your kindness. Reclaiming the power of boundaries. Kindness is a strength, a beautiful expression of our humanity. Yet, when it's met with exploitation, when someone sees your goodwill as an endless resource to be used rather than cherished, it can quickly transform into a source of pain. Imagine giving your time, energy, or resources to someone only to realize they take your generosity for granted and offer little in return. The warmth of your kindness begins to feel like a fire that only burns you. Exploitation of kindness often comes from a lack of respect, both for you and for the value of what you offer. Stoicism, with its emphasis on balance and self-respect, helps us navigate this delicate terrain by encouraging us to reflect on our intentions and set firm boundaries when necessary. Picture this: a friend regularly asks for your help, borrowing money, seeking advice, or asking for favors, but never reciprocates or even acknowledges your efforts. When you finally hesitate to assist, they respond with guilt-inducing phrases like, "I thought you were my friend," or "You're the only one I can rely on." Their words twist your kindness into an obligation, leaving you questioning your boundaries and doubting your own value. Stoicism teaches us to approach such dynamics with clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." True kindness isn't about endless giving. It's about giving with intention, balance, and self-respect. To be kind without boundaries isn't noble. It's unsustainable. The first step in addressing exploitation is awareness. Ask yourself, does this person respect my time and effort, or do they treat my kindness as something owed to them? Do I feel uplifted by this relationship, or drained and undervalued? If the pattern of one-sided giving becomes clear, it's time to evaluate the relationship and your role within it. Remember, kindness is a gift, not a debt. When others treat it as an expectation, it diminishes the value of what you offer. Stoicism reminds us that we can't control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. For instance, if someone repeatedly borrows money without repayment, you might say, "I'm unable to lend money right now, but I hope you can find another solution." This response is firm, yet kind, protecting your boundaries without unnecessary conflict. Boundaries are essential not only to protect yourself, but also to preserve the authenticity of your kindness. When you give within healthy limits, your generosity remains an act of joy rather than a source of resentment. A balanced approach to kindness also involves reflecting on your motivations. Are you giving out of genuine care, or because you fear rejection or conflict? Stoicism encourages us to give freely, without expectation of return, but only when doing so aligns with our values and doesn't compromise our well-being. Imagine a gardener tending to their plants. They water and nurture each one, but they also know when to step back, allowing nature to take its course. Similarly, your kindness must have limits. Otherwise, it risks depleting the very source from which it flows. A practical approach to handling exploitation. 1. Identify patterns. Take note of recurring instances where your kindness is met with exploitation. Reflect on how these interactions make you feel. 2. Set clear boundaries. Communicate your limits calmly and assertively. Remember, boundaries aren't walls to shut others out. They're gates to protect your well-being. 3. Assess the relationship. If someone refuses to respect your boundaries, consider whether the relationship aligns with your values and emotional health. Practice intentional giving. Offer your kindness freely, but with discernment, ensuring it doesn't come at the expense of your peace or self-worth. Exploitation of kindness is a reminder that even the most beautiful qualities need balance and protection. Stoicism empowers us to reclaim control over our actions and emotions, encouraging us to give with wisdom and integrity. By setting boundaries and practicing intentional kindness, you preserve the joy of giving while safeguarding your emotional well-being. Remember, your kindness is a gift. It deserves to be valued, not taken for granted. In honoring your limits, you not only protect yourself, but also ensure that your generosity remains a genuine expression of strength and compassion. 7. Lack of accountability, upholding responsibility and self-worth. Accountability is a cornerstone of integrity. It reflects a willingness to own one's actions, learn from mistakes, and grow. Yet, we've all encountered people who avoid responsibility, deflect blame, or make excuses when things go wrong. Imagine being in a relationship, personal or professional, where every misstep is met with justification or blame shifting. Over time, this lack of accountability erodes trust and creates a dynamic where you carry the weight of their actions alongside your own. Stoicism offers us clarity and strength in these moments, urging us to focus on what we can control: our responses, boundaries, and expectations. A lack of accountability, while frustrating, can serve as an opportunity to evaluate the relationships in our lives and reinforce our own commitment to responsibility. Picture a friend who repeatedly fails to follow through on commitments, whether it's showing up for plans or contributing to a shared project. When confronted, they deflect with excuses like, "I was too busy," or "You didn't remind me." Instead of addressing their behavior, they shift the burden onto you. Such patterns reveal a deeper unwillingness to acknowledge their role in the situation. This dynamic can be draining, leaving you to shoulder not only the practical consequences, but also the emotional toll of their avoidance. Stoicism teaches us to observe such behavior without letting it disrupt our inner peace. As Epictetus said, "We are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them." Recognizing their lack of accountability as their choice, not a reflection of your worth, empowers you to disengage from unnecessary frustration. When faced with someone who refuses to take responsibility, it's important to set boundaries that protect your well-being. This doesn't mean retaliating with anger or withdrawing completely, but rather calmly and assertively addressing the issue. For example, you might say, "I understand things didn't go as planned, but it's important that we both take responsibility for our roles in this situation." If their behavior persists, despite your efforts to communicate, Stoicism reminds us that we are not obligated to carry their burdens. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Choosing to step back from someone's deflections isn't abandoning them. It's affirming your commitment to relationships built on mutual respect and accountability. A powerful response to a lack of accountability is to embody the behavior you wish to see. When you take ownership of your actions, even in difficult situations, you set a standard that others may eventually follow. This isn't about controlling their choices, but demonstrating that responsibility is a mark of strength, not weakness. Imagine being in a team setting where a colleague fails to deliver on their part of a project. Instead of fueling conflict with accusations, you might address the issue constructively. Let's review what happened and figure out how to ensure success next time. By focusing on solutions rather than blame, you redirect the energy toward growth and collaboration. Practical steps for navigating a lack of accountability. Assess the impact. Reflect on how their behavior affects you and whether the relationship is sustainable in its current state. 2. Communicate clearly. Address the issue directly, but with empathy, emphasizing the importance of shared responsibility. 3. Set boundaries. Decide what you are and aren't willing to tolerate. Protect your time and energy by stepping back when necessary. 4th, model accountability. Demonstrate responsibility in your own actions, showing that growth stems from honesty and self-awareness. A lack of accountability challenges not only our patience, but also our boundaries and expectations. Stoicism reminds us that while we can't force others to take responsibility, we can control how we respond. By maintaining our integrity and setting clear limits, we protect our peace and ensure that we're investing in relationships that align with our values. Remember, You are not defined by someone else's unwillingness to grow. By choosing to uphold accountability in your own life, you embody a strength that inspires others and affirms your self-worth. Let go of the need to fix those who refuse to change and focus instead on building a life grounded in responsibility, respect, and mutual growth. In life's journey, recognizing and letting go of relationships that no longer bring value is essential to protecting your peace and self-worth. Those who only use you without genuinely caring for you should not be a burden on your path to happiness and balance. Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we have full control over how we respond. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful expression of self-love and respect. When you muster the courage to let go, you create space for people and opportunities that truly deserve to be in your life. Start taking action today. Don't hesitate to set boundaries in relationships that harm you. Grab a pen and paper and write it down. Who truly deserves to be in your life and who no longer fits? Begin making even the smallest changes to safeguard your inner peace. If you found this content helpful, hit the subscribe button now and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next valuable lessons. Leave a comment to share your story or how you've overcome toxic relationships. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to share this video with friends or loved ones who might need this advice. Together, we can build an inspiring community where everyone finds peace and true value in life. Take action today and create the change you deserve.